Bryan, you came from Boise State as an offensive coordinator initially when you're getting your start, and had some great success as an OC, 2 Fiesta Bowl wins, which is something Cal fans could only dream of right now. What are a couple of the ingredients of a team that maybe on paper isn't seen as one of the most talented in the country, is able to do something like that? What type of characteristics would you say are in common with a team that's able to overcome obstacles and do that?
Yeah, I think it starts with the things we talk about here, smart and tough. You know, you talk about great teams. I think you have smart players and tough players on there, and I think you have great team chemistry. And I think we have that here. I think we got good chemistry. We're getting better at playing football, so we got to work on the things that the smart part, knowing the details, the tough piece. You know, today was a good physical day, so I thought we're building on that. But you build that chemistry, and you build trust with coaches and players. And then you're able to go out there in a game and play against an opponent that's trying to do the same things. Can you do it more consistently? And I think that's what teams, where you talk about the past, you know, that's what they had. And there was talent in there too, but a lot of belief and a lot of work, you know, to be great at football, but also to be a great team. And I think you learn a lot of lessons through the game of football too. That's one of the beautiful things about what we do. We're not always talking about X's and O's. We're talking about our mindset, how we attack challenges, the day-to-day work, the things that they're going to carry on, hopefully the rest of their lives when they're done playing football. So we're on that trajectory of making that happen right now. We're not there yet, but that's an everyday process that we have to get to, and we've got a deadline coming up, obviously, with Oregon State, and we've got to be prepared for that.
Bryan, you mentioned the deadline. You know, we've always heard over time that college teams, pro teams, need a lot of time to gel. This offense doesn't have a lot of time to gel. So how do you balance? I know you want to go maybe at warp speed, but everybody can't handle it. How do you balance wanting to get everything done, but knowing guys can't absorb everything at once?
Yeah, we're pushing hard, and to make that happen. I mean, we're not holding back. And so, you know, it's a little bit under fire of just learning as you go. And we know there's going to be some mistakes. There were today. We weren't perfect. What you really look for is the effort. And if you're not getting it right, man, that's coaching. Players have to study too, but you got to understand as a coach, are we teaching them the right things? And are we putting them in a position to be successful? As long as they're giving effort and they're going hard, like there's a lot of different ways to run an offense. And a lot of successful offenses across the country that do it differently. So we have to figure out who we are, what we're best at, and then we have to really focus on the details of what we're doing and then do it consistently throughout the game, and everybody doing their 111th. And that's what we're talking about right now. So we had some really good moments today. So we kind of have the good, the bad, and the ugly. You know, it happens every practice. And even the best teams I've been on, it's been like that. Because you're always pushing. You know, where are we? And you keep pushing to try to improve each and every day. So I would say this. I think Coach Wilcox has done a fabulous job of building the chemistry. Like, as a team, I feel like the guys like each other. They like being here. They like to work. They love what we're doing in the weight room. We're taking care of them, you know, from a nutrition standpoint, trainer standpoint, all those things. So that's in place. Now we have to get better at football, and we got to take all that onto the field, and they want to. So it's just a matter of us to keep, you know, we got to keep working. That's really what it comes down to.
Bryan, can you talk about the quarterbacks and what you're seeing and what you like from each of them?
Yeah, I think number one, these guys are prepared. They come out to meetings. They do a great job. Or they come out to practice from meetings. They do a great job in there. You know, it's notebooks, it's focused, it's guys watching extra film and doing all that. And they come out here and they got a really good understanding of what we're trying to do. And I think from drill work to teamwork to one-on-ones and all that, those guys go hard. So as far as the room goes, this is a really good room. You know, we have to execute. We got to go out there and obviously play the game at a high level and all that. But as far as the room goes, I couldn't ask for a better room right now, just with how the guys' attitudes are. We got to get better at football, and they know that. So that's repetition over and over at that position right there. But I appreciate these guys. I love coming in to see them in meetings and being around them out here. They take coaching. They listen, right? Even when they make mistakes, they don't pout. Like, they're ready for it. And they'll try to go out there in the next play or the next series and execute. So right now, all that I feel really good about. Now it's just getting better at football, getting chemistry with the wide receivers, understanding how to protect themselves when they need to, and just really putting it all on the field at this point. And we're going to get a chance to do that on Saturday. And then from there, all right, we're going to look at the depth chart and look at the roster and go, okay, where are we at? We got a few more practices, and then we got to start making decisions, all right, on what we're doing. But every one of those guys, they come to work, they come out here, they come to play, and they've done that consistently throughout camp.
Can you give us some specifics on Devin and Jiren and what they're doing?
Yeah, well, Devin's really smart. I've said that before. Devin's got the mind of an offensive coordinator. He sees things. He's been around great coaches. And so he understands that. He applies it to the field. He's doing a really good job throwing the ball. He's been very accurate in camp. He's a guy that can run. He's physical. He's got great command every time he's out there. And so he's still learning what we're doing, because he hasn't, to your question, we haven't put every single thing in. So there's still a few new wrinkles that we're working on. But as far as, just his approach each and every day, you couldn't ask for better. Jiren is learning, but he understands from spring ball through summer now what it's going to take to get himself prepared for a game. I think these first few practices, it's much different in spring. You don't have a deadline. You're just practicing. Then you get to fall camp, you got August 30th. All right, so every single day matters. And I think for all of our young players, that sense of urgency from the coaches and everybody else around them, older players that know that we have a game coming up, I think all those young players now understand that. You have to be ready. You have to be prepared at that position. Every play matters in practice, because we're trying to execute at a high level in everything we do. So I think his understanding of that now is complete. And so now it's just a matter of continue to learn, build the chemistry like we said, and so on. And then the other guys are doing the same things. EJ has really come along. I think Dom's done a great job this camp. Dom's better, much better than from spring through summer. And so he's really improved. He's got great command. EJ's played, he has experience, so I really like that group and where they're at.
Do you expect and want to have a for sure number one going into Oregon State, or is it possible you would play both of them in that game?
Yeah, I'd always like to have a starter. Yeah, I've done that before. I've always had a starter, and we've played other guys as well, so I've done that before, but you'd like to have the guy that's going to go out there and play.
Because you're a week or two away from that?
Yeah, we're close. We're getting there. We got to get through the first scrimmage, and then we'll reevaluate, and there'll be a timeline of when we make a decision of what we're going to do, and I understand that's a big thing. Everybody wants to know who that's going to be, and so we'll make that decision when we do. That guy gets to go out there and play. I want him to feel confident that we got his back. We always have the backup ready to go, and the other guys, they know that. So we're not there yet, but we're getting closer to it.
You talked about Jiren's preparation. What impresses you about his physical tools as a quarterback?
Yeah, great thrower. That's one thing. I mean, he's got a fantastic arm, and he can make a lot of different throws from a lot of different angles. I think he's done a tremendous job in the weight room. He's changed his body. He's faster. He's stronger. I mean, just what you'd expect from a young guy coming into a program like this. And our strength staff is phenomenal. And so everything about him physically has changed for the better. And now it's the details and the urgency of playing at this level. He's never played at this level. Any of our freshmen that we expect to play out there, I mean, you guys got to understand, they've never played at this level. They're seeing it at practice, but this is different than high school. So just everything that we do, how fast we practice, how we think, all those things that are happening out there for Jiren, he's getting better at that. But physically, he's got a gift. He can throw it. And I think mentally right now, the details of our offense he's really picked up. And he's got great feel on the field, and he's got great vision. I mean, those are things now that you can't coach, right? And that's what you want to find from your players, are some things when it doesn't go right and it breaks down, which will happen, they're going to be able to make something happen. And all those guys, Devin's done that, Jiren's done that, EJ's done that. Jiren's just got a really good feel for it.
Bryan, offensive line has been an issue for the last couple of years here. A lot of sacks allowed last year. You guys, I think I counted 19 offensive linemen in camp.
Yep.
Some veterans, some newcomers, some transfers. Tell us how that group's looking, and how many do you want to have that you can have in a rotation? Could you have 8 or 10?
Sure. Yeah, I mean, always want to have 7. Right? You want your next man up, and then your next man up after that. I think we have 2 O-lines that can go out there and play, so I think we do have good depth. Coach and I has done a great job with that group. Talking about physically changing, those guys have definitely done that. We put a lot of weight on some guys, talking 25, 30 pounds. They've changed their bodies. They've taken it serious. to really be able to do that. But yeah, I mean, those guys have to gel. And look, you know, the statistics and all that, sacks are bad, and that's could be on the O-line, it can be on scheme, it can be on the quarterbacks too. You know, I know we've taken sacks at practice where the ball should be out, right? So it's a combination of everybody understanding the importance of how that impacts the team. All right, we don't want sacks on the offensive side. We'll take them on D all day long, right? But we got to make sure that, you know, we play fast, we do a good job up front, but the guy behind him too has to do a really good job to help those guys out, and the scheme has to put them in a position to be successful. So playing quarterback and coaching for all these years, it's not always the offensive line, but I think those guys have done a really good job understanding that. They've done a good job in physically having themselves prepared to come out here and execute against a really good D-line and what our defense is doing. So the competition from that standpoint was great today. It has been through camp, and you know, we had an inside run period. It was one of the best I've seen. You know, those guys were physical. It was both sides, O and D. They were getting after it. Good competition, but we got better from that today.
Bryan, there aren't a lot of people on this team right now that I think Cal fans recognize in terms of running backs, wide receivers, tight ends. Come the end of September, early October, who are 2 or 3 guys in that group Cal fans will know that these guys are pretty important?
Yeah, you know, I not in a bad way, but you know, I want to put a name on it right now. I mean, there's some guys showing up, all right? And to be fair to those guys right now, because what I've told them, the depth chart right now, that's not set, all right? It's not set. And everybody has a chance to go out there tomorrow and Saturday and compete. And then we'll see what happens, and then we're going to reevaluate. All right, we'll put the depth chart up from that point on, and then we'll see where we go. And it's hard to say. You know, hopefully you get through camp with everybody healthy. But it's amazing what happens after the first scrimmage from what I've experienced over the years. That guys watch that, boom, and for a lot of guys, the switch goes on right there, and they just are able to go out there and practice faster. We kind of honed down because we put a ton in up until the first scrimmage, so there's just a lot going on, and then we tighten it all back up. And they get better at it, and so that next scrimmage, that's where you really see guys shine. And so I think after that, we'll know who some of those guys are. So if you ask me then, I might give you an idea on who I think.
In a typical game, how many wide receivers, how many running backs would you expect to play, get meaningful minutes?
Yeah, boy, I'd say anywhere 5 to 6. You'd have your 5 guys at wide receiver, right? You have your 4 out there. You're going to have 2 tight ends playing a lot. Your third guy's going to be involved. You're always going to have 2 backs, all right, and a third guy that should be in the mix. You know, I've had some really great running backs, both NFL guys, 1s and 2s, and they're getting a lot of reps. Your third guy comes in there to spell them, or he has something specific in the game plan. You got your 4 wideouts, you got your 5th guy for rotation, your 6th guy in there that can fit anywhere, and then everybody else, you know, ready to play. So if you can keep the 4 out there, and you can throw the 5th in there every so often, and that 6th guy can come in there and spell somebody, that's going to be, you know, what you'd want to have. And they're all at a high level.
So it sounds
right?
like 2 running backs most of the time.
Yeah, I say 2 running backs, 2 tight ends, you know, 5 wideouts at that time, 5 offensive linemen. Got to have that, right? So, but yeah, these are good questions, and when we're working through that, I think we have that depth-wise, and we're just, you know, we're making that happen right now of creating who those guys are going to be.
Let's go for a final. Will your offense be balanced pass run, or how do you look at that?
Whatever it takes. Yeah, I really, you know, I've as an offensive coordinator, everybody says that what is balance and all that. Can you run it when you need to? Can you throw it when you need to? Right? We'd always like to be able to run the ball. I think it has to start in the run game. You've got to be able to run the ball. We'll be able to throw it and do some things off that, but you got to be able to run it. And I think if you look at teams over the years that win consistently, they can run the football. So it's a really important thing for us to be able to do. Want to throw it, but I've always said, hey, if we got to throw it 50 times a game, run it 50 times a game, we've kind of done that. You know, whatever we feel like is working, and sometimes you get in the game and the run game is going, and you're going to stick with that, or you're throwing and everybody's feeling it. So a little bit of making sure your offense has the ability to do both. And I think these guys understand that, you know, what we want to be.
All right. Thanks, Coach.
Thank you, guys.
Thank you.